So I want to preface this video by saying I'm not good at Overwatch. Like, I played in the first game and I was Masters on support and Diamond on DPS and tank. So I'm not great at this game, but I do know a good bit about it. So one thing that I can't stress enough that I just don't understand with Overwatch 2 is the Battle Pass. I mean, like, it just doesn't make much sense to add in such a random thing to a team game, right? Battle Passes kind of came with Battle Royales like Fortnite and Apex, right? So I think that's where they should stay. I don't really get it. I mean, there's about 1,000 different random things in the Battle Pass that nobody cares about. I mean, every now and then there's a skin in there, but then there's just these emotes and random sprays, and which for some reason I don't understand why they added souvenirs or any of the weapon charms. Like, it just brings like a siege vibe, and I just don't get why it's in Overwatch. Next up, I don't really get why we decided to make it a 5v5. Like, I understand that there was balance issues with 6v6, but now with tanks, every tank feels like it's just overpowered. Like, you can't 1v1 a tank at all unless you were another tank, right? As soon as the game released, you had characters like Zarya that were just steamrolling every match, right? And you have other characters and other tanks that are just terrible, right? So I feel like the balance is even worse now. Like, they took everything that was about Overwatch 1, scrapped it completely, and tried to convert the whole game into a 5v5 format, which doesn't work, right? You have all these maps and all these characters and all these abilities designed around a 6v6, right? All the synergies with like Ryan Zarya or whatever, Sigma Orisa, like these have synergies together, which existed in 6v6 and allowed the game to have its own balanced state then, right? But they try and move everything to a 5v5, and now you have to redo every tank. You might as well have to redo every DPS and every healer, because they just aren't the same. You can't take characters that are designed for 6 people on a team and throw them into a 5-person mode and it work, which is exactly why tanks are rolling over everybody. These characters aren't balanced well. So, like, some of the hero changes, I just don't understand. Like, for instance, Cassidy, or McCree, as I remember him being called, right? So, he used to have a flashbang. Now he has a sticky grenade, which does so much damage you can just body shot and throw it on someone and it kills them, right? Which to me is overpowered. I don't really understand why they added it. It doesn't make any sense. It makes it less fun to me. I understand that people don't like the stun of the flashbang, but honestly, I enjoy it more. I'd rather be flashed by McCree than have a sticky grenade stick to me through a wall where he can't see me, which has happened on multiple occasions, and I know I'm not the only one. So it's one thing to change a character to have like a more damage ability instead of a CC, which the whole premise of let's get rid of CCs, let's get rid of shields, sure, it's fine, and then you go add a tank like Ramatra, which just has a shield on its own, which makes no sense to me. I don't get it. So then they wanted to change all these other characters. Like, I'm a Sombra main, so I take really heavy offense to what they did to that character. They just ruined it. I mean, like, I've played Overwatch since Sombra first came out, and so I was there when she first released, when you get ult charge off of health packs. Like, those were characters designed around team fighting. Now, these characters are not designed around team fighting. They are designed around, hey, let me be able to 1v1 in a team game. So it just, a lot of synergy for me goes out the window when you introduce things like a sticky grenade that just enables a one-shot combo on a DPS, and then you take a character like Sombra and buffer damage and then nerf the hack, which I don't get it. You know, I understand how they went about it to reduce CC in the game, and I think they went about it very poorly. I think the character went from extremely overpowered to absolutely useless in a matter of one balance change, which should not happen in any game. They made such major changes that when they try and balance something now, it just doesn't work, right? And I know people hate Sombra because she's like the fun police of Overwatch, and I understand it, right? But I didn't like the change at all. Even though she was broken, I still didn't enjoy playing her, and I still don't now. Like, I used to play her all the time in Overwatch 1, and it was fun because I could coordinate with my teammates and be like, hey, I'm going to hack this target, let's focus them for the next few seconds, yada, yada, yada. Now, I hack a target, 2 seconds later, they have all their abilities back. There's no point in communicating. The whole team part of the game is just gone, and I hate it. Like, when I'm playing with friends, I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to hack this guy now. I don't say it anymore. There's no point to say it because I can't kill them in time. Because there's no point in hacking a target when two seconds later they're just going to get all their abilities back. I mean, it used to be worth it to hack a Reinhardt and try and deal with the Reinhardt as a team together, but now there's no point in hacking a Reinhardt. 2 seconds later, he's going to get a shield back. So you might as well just go for the supports and try and 1v1 them. See how I'm going this? There's no team aspect anymore. Just 1v1 them and kill them fast enough. Which you can't even do that because Moira gets her fade back in 2 seconds. Ana gets sleep dart. Brig gets shield and bash. Lucio gets speed boost, heal, whatever he needs. I mean, I know that's one character, but as a Sombra main, it's pretty much the whole game for me. Like, I hate it. I just hate playing tank now. There's no, I used to play Reinhardt, and I would coordinate with Azaria, be like, shield bubble, whatever. There's none of that anymore. It's just who can 1v1 the best. It honestly feels like we are in a 4v4, and then the tanks are just 1v1ing. Like, I know that may sound stupid, but it honestly is what it feels like to play Overwatch now. If you have a bad tank, you just feel like you're just going to lose instantly. Because they have a better tank who's going to get better ults, and, so on, and it feels like you have no value whenever you have a worse tank. And then, this I will never understand, why they decided to add push as a game mode. I mean, this is just terrible. Like, it's just awful, right? They got rid of 2CP, which, honestly, I enjoyed 2CP the most out of any game mode. The only one that came close was, like, hybrid, like Nambani. I actually kind of enjoyed that, and thankfully it's still in the game. They didn't get rid of it. But with push, it's just another neutral objective, which, and even if you don't want to take my word for it, you can just look at the statistics when they've done, research on it. Literally, if you win the first fight, you are more likely to win the game, which, I mean, obviously sounds like, okay, well, duh. But it's not you attack and then you defend and then you attack or they defend or whatever. It's literally you're both going, and if you lose the first fight, you're already off to a disadvantage and you're more likely to lose. And it's not even like a close margin either. I think it's somewhere in like the 62 or 63% range. And then the same issue lies with control, right? Way back when, some of you might not know, but control used to have, you'd have to win 3, right? So it'd be best of 5. Instead of now, it's best of 3. So if you win 2, you win the game. Used to be if you win 3, you win the game. Which did make games longer, but honestly, I enjoyed it more because it allowed you to, possibly try and come back, right? So let's say first map you're on Lijiang and you lose the first map, whatever. You're down 1. Now you're on match point immediately, right? You lose the first fight and you feel like the game's already over. Like, it just doesn't feel like it's worth playing anymore. Like, but when you had 3 maps, which the whole purpose of Control was that they designed 3 maps so you would play on all 3 every time. Now you don't play on all 3 every time, which to me doesn't make any sense because why would you have 3 maps for a map pool the size of 2? So they're just making changes that literally do not make sense to me whatsoever. I know that was a change a long time ago, but I still have, grievances with it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it at all. So now, with Push, which I think is the worst game mode I've ever seen Overwatch come out with, I think I enjoy Capture the Flag more, honestly. Because with Push, if we lose the first team fight, then they're going to get it. They're going to get the robot pushed about, I'd say a fifth of the way, maybe. And then you come back. So now, if you win that fight, which if you just lost the last fight, you're probably not going to be up on ult charge. So if you lose the first fight, let's say somehow you win the next fight, despite being lower on ult charge and probably at a worse timing, right? Maybe you got staggered or whatever. So let's say you somehow win the fight. Okay, now you just got the cart back to the neutral point, which is 0. So now you have both won 1 fight, and now you're at the neutral fight, and now you have to win the next fight again. So not only do you have to win 1 fight, you have to win 2 fights to even start pushing it in their direction. So let's say you win the second fight. Now you win the second fight, and you push it about the same distance that they have. Now, if you want to grab the lead, you have to win 3 fights in a row. And that's just if you lose the first fight. If you lose the first 2 fights, might as well bump it up to 5. I mean, it's mind-blowing how this game mode got out of the like prep phase and design phase, because it's not fun to play. Like, even when you're winning, to me it feels like a waste of time. So let's say you win the first 3 fights in a row and you push it almost all the way, so you're at like 100 meters, 110 meters. Okay, so let's say they win one fight like at their spawn, because I mean they're just gonna have respawn advantage, so if you just have a long fight you're probably gonna lose. So let's say they win that fight. Now you have to wait 9 minutes, 8 minutes probably at that point, for the game to end, and you're probably gonna win. But you're just gonna have to sit there for 8 minutes and just casually like skirmish, because literally if you want to win, they're gonna push it pretty much all the way back to neutral. So now you got to win 5 fights in a row again to win, and you have to lose 5 fights in a row to lose. Neither of those are probable, right? So you're probably just gonna spend the next 8 minutes skirmishing, picking off one person every now and then, and just going back and forth for 8 minutes for nothing. That you with when you just won the game in the first 2 minutes. It just seems like a waste of time. And I honestly don't get why they got rid of 2CP. I mean, like, yeah, I get why people don't like it. Like, it can be boring, the overtimes, it can last long, objective stall is annoying. But that was, like, part of the game. It was like, okay, well, now there's a meta for which map you're on. The same way Symmetra is basically a must-have on Control. You would have characters like Mei or Sombra, maybe, Lucio, Wrecking Ball, those stall characters that you would have, you could say Reaper, that you would have for 2CP. Like, so, I mean, I don't really get that argument either, unless you want to talk about taking out Control, which I'd be totally fine with, because I hate Control. I don't think it's balanced at all. I think if they have a Symmetra and they take the first point, then you're screwed. Like, I think Symmetra is a must-have on, especially a map like Lijiang. It's a must-have. Like, if you don't have one, then you're probably done for. Maybe Nepal is more balanced. I think Nepal is balanced, but Lijiang is not at all. If you don't have a Symmetra on Lijiang, you're probably going to lose the first fight. And if you lose the first fight, good luck pushing into a Symmetra when you're already down Control %, and then you have to win out from there, which is hard to do. So I don't really know why they got rid of 2CP. Like, most of my favorite maps were like Temple of Anubis, and especially Horizon. I know people hated Horizon, and they reworked it, and I think they did a second rework. But I mean, I like the map. I think it offered like a cool little moon area where there was like decreased gravity. I thought that was cool. Like I said, I mean, I get it, because it could be long and it could be like annoying, but it gave a fair shot to both sides. Even though it was slightly annoying to play sometimes, you got to attack, and then you got to defend. No matter how bad your attack was, you got a chance to prove yourself on defense, right? Same way, if your defense sucked, you had a chance to prove yourself on attack. And I don't, it just doesn't feel like that's in the game anymore. Because even on maps like Numbani and stuff like that, and it's different in competitive, I wish there was an unranked mode where you could play competitive style rules, like we both get an attack and we both get to defend, right? Now, quick play, it's fine if you just want to casually play, but it's kind of annoying when, let's say you're playing Numbani and you capture the first point and you get it almost all the way to the end, and you spend 5 minutes trying to get it like 5 meters and you just can't, and you lose. That is like so annoying. It's one of the most annoying things in the game, is when you put in all that effort just to lose anyway. Or if you're on defense and you hold them for 4 minutes and then the last second they get it, and you do it again and again and again. Like Dorado, if they push it all the way and they have overtime, that's annoying to lose that way, right? So if there was an unranked mode, I think honestly I would play that more than either competitive or quick play. Like 2CP kind of worked like Siege does, where you have an attack defense, but that's just not in the game anymore. So now there's 2 neutral objective modes, which I think neutral objective modes are the least balanced modes. And if you don't believe me, like I said, look at the numbers. They don't lie. If you win the first fight, you're more likely to win the next fights. So, I mean, I don't really get the map pool ideas. I mean, Oasis is okay, I mean, I don't mind it, but Lijiang is just awful. Like, and I really don't know. But also, another thing I want to talk about is, and it could just be me, I could just be bugging, but when I loaded into Overwatch 2, and I played a few games, and I still experience it now. My aim is just different. My settings are the exact same. I don't know what they did, and I play on console, by the way. I don't play on PC, so I don't know how it is on there. But it's still off. It's not even like a huge change. It's just a little bit, to the point where I can't aim the way I used to aim. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like aim assist smoothing, ease in. I don't know. My settings are the exact same, so I don't know why anything's different, but it is. And I promise I am not like making this up. It's not like a placebo effect. Like, there's literally something different with the aiming, and I cannot figure it out. And I don't know what it is, and it's like really killing me, because like I can't play the characters the same like I used to play them. I used to be way better on Ashe than I am now. Like, you'll see me just miss shots where normally I wouldn't miss them, but it's just a slight, like just a little bit of a change that just screws up the whole thing. And then I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I think it's a huge effect with like, I can't pinpoint the change. Also, I hate the competitive scene now. Like, you used to have SR, like you used to have a number, right? But now you just have a blatant like rank, like Plat 4 or Diamond 2 or Masters 1 or whatever. And that could mean anything, you know what I mean? And it takes, 15 losses and 5 wins or something like that? Like, dude, yeah, you could go on a win streak and get it right quick, but that's probably going to take you a day of playing. Maybe 2, if you're, like going back and forth. Like, 10 games is not, a small amount of time. Like, and that's just per role. That's just annoying to me, like, to have to deal with that. Like, I understand it, maybe it's just better for them, so that way they don't have to, like, assign a number to you directly. But I don't get it at all. And then, finally, I kind of want to wrap up with this. There was, like, a ton of bugs, and there still is. Like, if you go to the career profile, it's completely messed up. Like, everything's wrong with it. And it has been since, like, day one. And then also, if you're playing on console, it is the most annoying thing when the enemy team has a Baptiste and he lays down his immortality field and you cannot aim because it's dragging your reticle up. I do not understand why Blizzard cannot just go in and fix that in 5 minutes. It is still a problem, and it has been a problem for months. And maybe they got rid of it recently, but at least 1 or 2 weeks ago, it was still in there. And it's stuff like that just drives me insane about this company. And, like, honestly, I really hope they fix this and get their shit together, because, like, this game, to me, is a total failure, and I really do miss Overwatch 1. But that being said, feel free to argue in the comments, but yeah, I just don't like Overwatch 2.